You know that feeling when you just hit a total brick wall in life? It's a moment that catches absolutely every single one of us at some point. Well, today, we are looking at the incredible legacy of Randy Pausch, drawing directly from the profound lessons in his book, The Last Lecture. Pausch was a guy who packed an unbelievable amount of living into his 47 years on Earth. And early on, he had this massive, almost impossible childhood dream. He wanted to become a Disney Imagineer. But as you can probably guess, getting there wasn't exactly a straight path. He faced inevitable obstacles, those heavy, imposing roadblocks we call brick walls.
So, welcome to today's Explainer. Think of our time together right now as your personal, actionable toolkit. We're going to use Pausch's wisdom to help you dismantle the barriers blocking your own personal growth. Because whether those barriers are professional goals, interpersonal conflicts, or just your own internal doubts, the framework he left behind is an absolute game changer for pushing forward.
To get us there, here is our roadmap for today. First, facing your brick walls. Second, mastering the perfect apology. Third, preparing for the wilderness. And finally, questions for personal growth.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Facing Your Brick Walls. This is all about completely redefining life's obstacle. Now, this is where Pausch completely flips the script on adversity. He tells us that brick walls are not there to keep us out. Actually, they are there to give us a chance to prove exactly how badly we want something. They're just tests of our determination. And you know, when you reframe an obstacle like that, it completely stops being this massive source of defeat, and it becomes a real measure of your own ambition.
Let's look at what this kind of determination actually looks like in the real world. Pausch was a highly skilled computer scientist working in virtual reality, and that was his golden ticket to fulfilling that childhood dream of becoming an Imagineer at Disney. But he hit a literal brick wall. To actually go do it, he needed a 6-month sabbatical from his professorship. And this wasn't just a simple HR request. He had to systematically build a rock-solid case. He pushed through mountains of academic red tape and hunted down higher-level approvals just to get the time off. But he broke through that wall with sheer, unwavering willpower. It's the perfect example of how pushing through the hard stuff is exactly what secures the dream.
But hey, breaking through walls isn't always a solo mission. And let's be real, sometimes the wall is actually us. Pausch openly admitted to being a recovering jerk back in the day. I mean, nobody's perfect, right? He specifically talks about his professor Andy, who saw his potential but also cared enough to call him out on his bad attitude. Pausch put it beautifully, saying he benefited from people who cared enough to tell him the tough love things he needed to hear. So it really makes you think, how well do you handle tough love when it's aimed at you? And on the flip side, do you take the time to give tough love to the people you care about without putting them down? It's a super important balance.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, Mastering the Perfect Apology. Think of this as your sledgehammer for knocking down interpersonal walls.
If you want to grow personally and professionally, you need the right tools to fix your relationships. And Pausch gives us this foolproof 3-part framework for taking real accountability. Here it is. 1. What I did was wrong. 2. I feel badly that I hurt you. And 3. How do I make this better? It is incredibly simple, it's direct, and the entire focus is on repair.
But here is the catch. When you compare a truly sincere apology with a poor one, the difference is night and day. The sincere apology owns the mistake completely. The poor one? It's totally diluted with excuses. Pausch was absolutely adamant about this. No excuses are acceptable. The second you throw a justification in there, you completely destroy the sincerity. In fact, he firmly believed that no apology at all is actually better than a bad, half-hearted one. You just have to own the whole shebang.
Okay, relationships repaired. Let's move on to Section 3, Preparing for the Wilderness. This is essentially your blueprint for disaster. I want to challenge you right now with a seemingly jarring question. What is the worst-case scenario? If you are stepping into a massive project, a big presentation, or just a brand new phase of life, you absolutely have to shift your mindset toward radical preparation. You need to ask yourself what happens when literally everything goes wrong, and then deliberately plan for that exact outcome.
Pausch essentially gives us the ultimate survival guide for life with this quote. He says, when you go into the wilderness, all you have is what you take with you. You have to plan for the worst because out there in the sheer unpredictability of life, the wilderness, you are entirely on your own. Your survival depends 100% on the tools and the preparation you packed before you ever stepped foot outside.
Let's put that into perspective with a totally relatable professional scenario. Picture this, you're at a big conference, you're presenting, and suddenly, boom, the technology just dies. Your PowerPoint goes completely dark. Now, some presenters will immediately panic, start sweating, and the whole presentation totally derails. But others, they recover in a split second and just keep the show rolling. So what's the difference? The ones who succeed brought their blueprint to the wilderness. They prepared in advance to speak without their visual aids. They planned for the absolute worst-case scenario, which meant they could seamlessly engage the audience without all the fancy flash. That right there is the power of being prepared for the wilderness. And that leads us to our final tool today, Section 4, Questions for Personal Growth. Consider this the compass for your future.
Scattered throughout the last lecture are these profound nuggets of wisdom designed to help us figure out our core values. So here's the first of 3 big questions. What are 3 things that matter the most to you? Take a quick mental pause right now and genuinely think about that. It's way too easy to get swept up in the everyday grind and just lose sight of your true priorities. But nailing down those top 3 things, that gives you a solid anchor for when you inevitably run headfirst into a brick wall.
All right, question number 2. What's unique about you? It sounds like a deceptively simple question, but answering it takes real, deep self-awareness. What are these specific traits, the quirky experiences, or the weird perspectives that separate you from the crowd? You aren't just a carbon copy of someone else. You have a completely distinct combination of skills. Identifying what makes you uniquely you is a massive step toward overcoming obstacles, because you start to realize you can solve problems in ways literally no one else can.
And finally, the ultimate clincher. What do you alone truly offer? I want to leave you with this provocative thought today, because it just perfectly summarizes Pausch's lessons on growth. When you are staring down a brick wall, when you need to swallow your pride and offer a sincere 3-part apology, or when you are navigating the unpredictable wilderness without a safety net, what is the core value you are bringing to the table? Figuring that out challenges you to define your ultimate purpose moving forward. So keep these questions close. The next time you hit a brick wall, who are you going to be when you break right through it?